Reviewing your project is really important. First, people who give you money, especially grants, will likely expect to know what you did. Second, you'll be able to learn from your mistakes and adjust your strategies. And third, you'll find the simple process of doing a quick review after each project milestone ensures that ideas and any frustrations of the team members are aired openly and can be resolved. Don't leave evaluation until the end. Do quick evaluations after each key milestone to learn as you go. This doesn't have to be complicated. Just ask your team members for some quick feedback. At the end of your project, or perhaps at a specific point in the year, you'll want to do a more comprehensive evaluation.
I think even during the implementation phase of your project, it's important to have a reflection period where you can measure where you come and where it is that you're going. And I don't think that, as the group of the four of us, that we can do that separately from the participants of the project, because we need feedback from them as well. And we've been doing that at the same time, getting feedback from the participants, yet at the same time regrouping as a group of 4 girls and seeing where is it that we want to take the project forward. Are we still on the correct track? And at times we found that some of the things we've done weren't quite necessary in terms of the implementation phase, and we could have been far and reached far further ground in the things that we've been doing. So I think, but at the same time we have an evaluation and monitoring period that's put out at the end of the project. It's a 12-month, 1-year project.
Evaluation is really about reviewing your original objectives, finding out what happened, the results. First, figure out what you're evaluating. You'll remember that in your SMART objectives, the M stood for measurable, so you should already have some sense of what it is you're trying to measure and what would be an indicator of success. For example, if your objective was to hold 200 workshops across the country on climate change issues, an indicator of success would be the number of workshops held. Another indicator might be the percentage of participants who said they were happy with the workshop. Second, figure out how you can measure these results. What evidence is there? You could keep a logbook where you write down the details of all the workshops you run, or you could conduct a survey of your participants to find out how they felt about the event.
Since the project is so volunteer-based, the way that there's a way of keeping track of how well it's doing is if you see that your volunteers are happy. So if the volunteers are satisfied, like they're going to projects and actually enjoying it, and you see that a lot of volunteers aren't just leaving you, they're continuing with their projects, because it's a lot of dedication to be doing like an academic course and at the same attending school, and at the same time giving all your time and energy to such projects. If you know that they're happy, then you're really doing well. So we use feedback mechanisms to kind of find out what they're thinking, and then also in terms of the people who were affecting, the beneficiaries of the project, we can there are ways to map their growth, so which is what we do through different mechanisms to see, are the kids learning a lot, are our projects being successful, if we're organizing an event, how many people are coming to the event.
We have 3 critical areas that will measure whether this project has been successful. And one of them is looking at the businesses that we are helping. The women are supposed to have been able to not just to start a business, but also grow the business. So the sustainability model that we're working on is, once we leave the project, will the women be able to continue with it? And I think that that's very critical in the sense that people would be able to, it would mean that we've transferred enough skills to them to actually take the project forward. And the other one is we have a target of educating at least 3,000 students in township schools as well as former Model C schools on financial literacy, and that's in banking, savings, budgeting, and credit and loans. And I think that that's important, yet at the same time the success of that will be measured when those young kids have jobs and implementing the tools that are financial literacy that they learn now when they're earning an income and when they start saving and budgeting.
Once you know what you're measuring and how you're doing it, you can summarize your results and think about why you achieved what you did. If everything went according to plan, what had contributed to that success? If some things were not successful, what were the reasons?
I don't know, actually there are a lot of times when we would have failed. It's really hard to remember now, like one particular event where I said, okay, this is when I failed and now I'm carrying on. It's like a bunch of different things actually. You know, from the time you start, like from the time the idea comes to your head, to the time you like start to like build your project, to the time you're actually there seeing everything happen and it all seems unreal. Like, the entire phase goes through like a huge number of like successes and failures. So, you know, like, I mean, there are like day-to-day failures or they could be like massive failures. For my project personally, I haven't had like a massive failure, but I would say there are like so many failures which you encounter through the project. But all you have to do is you just have to like let it go, because you just have to like learn from that and like move on and keep going, because I mean, you have to have that final goal, like coming back to the thing that we were saying in the beginning, you need to have the final goal and objective in mind and then just let the failures be.
Think about each aspect of your project. How well did you articulate your vision? Was your plan widely understood? Were there any major risks that emerged that you had not foreseen? Was your budget realistic? Did you raise the money you needed? How was your team structured? How did they perform and grow through the experience? How would you rate your own leadership and management of the project? Did your promotional activities reach and attract the audiences you wanted? What was the impact of the project on your broader organisation? There is an evaluation template in your worksheets that will help you answer these questions and more. Often, many of the most exciting results from a project can be unanticipated in your original plan. A surprise. This is not necessarily a bad thing. Make sure your evaluation also considers results that helped achieve your objectives, but were not originally identified in the indicators of success.
It was really strange what happened to me, because one day I arrived at the library in this shelter home, and one kid told me I read a book. And it was amazing. It really filled me with joy, because it was, I think it was a huge deficit that they also had, that the lack of a place to read, of a quiet place, of a calm place where they could develop their things. So getting to know those things, those comments from the kids, and also the thing that the teachers come to me and they say, oh, they spent all day investigating the computers, or they spent all day painting in the computer. Those are successes, because it's an improvement from a current situation to a new situation where they investigate more and they get more involved with education.
And there may be some exciting results that achieved much good, but were not even related to your original objectives. When you have surprising results, think about why it happened. Next time, you might want to actually aim for a repeat experience. Or you might still want to figure out how you can avoid them because they were not central to your overall mission. So let's recap. Evaluation is a key part of every project. For reporting to supporters, learning lessons, and team building, try to review on an ongoing basis. Don't just leave it till the end. You'll need to be clear what you're measuring and how you're going to do it. And don't just measure against your objectives. Leave room to record results that were unexpected. Ultimately, the most important component of evaluation is to consider why the results came in as they did, so you can build on success and make adjustments to improve.